나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교. Thank you. Super thank you. Thank you, thank you. I begin today with a thanks because I just received a couple of PayPal deposits from Lulu, and that's our bookstore. And that's going to enable me to buy more stock, candles, incense, so forth, keep things going here. But it's just another validation of your tremendous support, whether you're a patron, helping offset cost with Patreon, which, by the way, all the videos I post here on this channel are also posted on Patreon, and there's no requirement for a membership. They're all free, along with documents and things I've posted over time. But the opportunity is there easily to click on a membership, to click on how much you would like to donate, whether it's monthly or one time. So I've tried to make that easy. There's also the paypal.me/SifuSylvain. Goes directly to PayPal. PayPal takes their little cut, but I'll take the support, the assistance any way I can get it. Those of you who are buying books, buying mandalas from cafepress.com/Gohonzon, all of it helps to support, keep this thing going. Everybody knows about the internet, and there's a lot of free stuff, but a lot of stuff costs, like domains and websites and the equipment, and I don't want to burden you with all of that, but it's just life in the 21st century. Sometimes feels like the 22nd to me. Getting old, girls and boys. I hope that this broadcast finds you in good health. I'm really concerned about everyone's health right now. And security, safety, So please be mindful of your health. And we'll just get into it. Let's get back to the opening of the eyes. We left off last time with Nichiren talking to us about the balance of energy in the universe. And being, as we are manifestations of countless Google energy formations, right? There's something like in a single DNA strand, there's some 24 million, mitochondria cells, or anyway, I don't remember all the terminologies. I do well to keep the terminology of Buddhist translations to task. Yeah, it's just unfathomable. It's truly. If you're looking for something to really be amazed about, is this apparatus we call a human being, that it can manifest, that a property can emerge from it, that is really pure energy, is the mind. It's not an organ, right? It's not the brain. It's a consciousness. And what is that? It's not computational, right? As amazing as we can make computers compute intelligent responses. We may emulate the brain, but that's still not consciousness. That's still not emotive. It doesn't speak to our humanity. It just speaks to skill, right? I don't mean to minimize it, but there's a difference. So Nichiren is talking about how life consists of, like the tree analogy, branches we run into. In Buddhism, those branches they're not random. Our karma, our energetic manifestations carry with them tendencies and conditions. And some of those tendencies and conditions, without a doubt, in each one of us, has the potential for negative or life unaffirming or even disastrous manifestation. So that's an aspect of Buddhism that we don't focus on, we don't talk about enough. We're very busy practicing our Buddhist Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, open my Buddha mind, influence my life, so that I don't bury myself mentally with obstacles that I create from my attachments to things. Liberate myself from thingifying and ownership of everything to just experience this amazing life. But there's kind of like a caboose on that train that says that while you're ameliorating your life and you're saying positive and all of this, what you may not be critically aware of is that part of that formula is taking that really negative tendency and minimizing its expression, minimizing its manifestation. So that we practice, we're happy with our practice, and then we get in a car accident, right? And the tendency would be, well, it's not working anymore. Why am I chanting? Buddhism doesn't work. Look at this, ruined my car. Ah! Why are you in pain? It's obvious. It's attachment to the car. It's attachment to everything that you've invested as far as reliance and objective gains that you hope to receive from your ownership of the car. I'm not saying getting in a car accident isn't traumatic and it isn't, life disrupting. But if you're a practicing Buddhist and you get into a car accident, you should be absolutely firm in your knowledge, in your resolve, in your acceptance, in your confidence that had you not been practicing Buddhism, things undoubtedly, not in the rhetorical way, things could be worse. No, they would definitely have been worse. That you minimized your expression of some very negative karma that just happened to be in your manifestation. So this is why when you hear stories about, he got in an accident on the freeway, or he was pulled over to help somebody on the freeway and somebody ran into his car and totaled it, and he laughed and he chanted, he was very thankful, and you think, what a bozo, he just lost his car. No, he didn't just lose his car. He just survived something that could have been much, much worse. By the way, he's fine. Ooh, what about being thankful for the positives in that traumatic situation? Yeah, he's going to have to work through whether it's insurance or finding other transportation. He's going to have to deal with it. But he has a choice. You have a choice. I have a choice. Do I deal with it grumbling and crying about, God, I shouldn't have to do this. This sucks. I don't know. Why'd that idiot run into my car? Blah, blah, blah. I know that's not pretty when I make those faces, but I'm making a point. What is that? Suffering. Why am I suffering? Because I feel tremendous loss. And now I'm put out because I have to communicate with strangers and I have to figure out It doesn't have to be that way. You can chant. You can elevate your life condition, liberate yourself from that suffering, which is self-imposed. Maybe opportunities will spring up out of this otherwise negative obstacle. In fact, they should. If you're practicing regularly and you're practicing with great conviction, I guarantee you something much better will manifest in your life. We've been taught culturally to complain about everything, including this life itself. When life sucks, then you die. Okay, let's make a cheer. Life sucks, then you die. To what end? See, I talk about all these things because to be a Buddhist isn't just to sit in front of your mandala and chant. What are you trying to accomplish by doing that? What's the meaning that you're after, your experience of life? As a Buddhist, you have to constantly be conscious to your Buddha consciousness, to be mindful of how life works. The more you do that, the more fascinating it is, the more self-knowing you become. Because, as Gurdjieff said a century ago, approximately, most people sleepwalk through life, waiting for something to happen. We all do it, but to catch yourself, or to have something happen to force you to catch yourself, oh, thanks, right? So Nichiren is talking about this mechanism, albeit in the context of a medieval samurai governance, right? Life or death every day. And he's interpreting the words of Shakyamuni Buddha almost 3,000 years ago and the way he was communicating to people who were deeply admired in mysticism. To this day, India, oh, wow, the mysticism, they're not the only place, but come on. Elephant gods? I'm not trying to make fun. You may be Indian, and I'm not trying to make fun of your culture, okay? But I'm saying, look at the mindset. And then maybe you can appreciate how some of these early teachings of Buddhism, Shakyamuni, being in the midst of it, is trying to inculcate some understanding from these very same minds. He's not trying to insult them. He's trying to take, okay, this is where your starting point is. All right, that's where you're starting. You're not stupid, you're not dumb, you're just ignorant. You don't know better. So let me lead you with what you know toward a deeper understanding. And I'm sure it must have been fascinating and very rewarding, as it is to you and I, when we explain something in somebody else's terms and we see that little glint. Oh, you mean da-da-da-da, and they may not express it quite right, but seeing that little spark of transcendent knowledge, something that's blowing apart their little illusions by themselves, doing it for themselves, That's super rewarding. That's bodhisattva work. Makes sense, right? So I've been told in the past, you hurt people's feelings and you don't even know it. Is that my intent? You guys, if you've watched me for a little while, you know. It's not my intent. I do call out, right? Illusions, the emperor's naked, right? That kind of thing. But I don't do it with a malicious heart. Completely opposite to that. People's feelings will get hurt because they choose to have their feelings hurt. I know. He said it again. Right. It's in the very language. We say, well, I take offense. Well, you're welcome to it. Why do you take it? If you didn't have it before, why are you taking it? Don't take it. You're offending yourself. If people say a bunch of stupid crap at you, does that make you feel hurt? Flip the script. They're just expressing their stress, their anxiety, their suffering. Have a little compassion. Wow, you really don't know who I am. You really don't know what you're experiencing. I'm so sorry you feel that way. And if they're very insistent or particularly malicious, you know the best response? Laugh. Laugh. Wow, that's how you see the world? Wow, I'm sorry I'm laughing. That's not very nice, but you're being really ridiculous. Ooh, you want to disarm a bully? Laugh. See, that's the very opposite of taking offense. Don't do that. It sounds simple, but boy, are we, like I said earlier, we're trained. Be miserable. Take offense. It makes you a better consumer because you're going to be looking to buy a fix. All right, now I'm going to get political. Let's go on with Nichiren. As I examine this passage, the passage he's citing from the Nirvana Sutra, right, about the woman who's destitute. She finds a place that'll let her stay there. It's not an opulent place, but they allow her in. She has a child while she's there, so they kick her out. Get the hell out of here with your kid, right? She's so despondent. She walks aimlessly with her child. She goes to cross the Ganges River, and as she's crossing it, huge storm comes, and the river rages and sweeps her away, and she's trying as hard as she can just to survive the onslaught of the river and the currents, and holding her child. She won't let it go because she loves it. She wants to save it, and they both end up drowning. It's a tragic story, yeah? But Buddhism, yeah, but the merit she gained from that kind of dedication, that kind of conviction for the love of her child, she expiated a tremendous amount of negative karma. Do you see why I was introducing this video with that story about losing a car or whatever? Trauma. Now, it's kind of a sad story because she ends up dead and her child ends up dead. But try to look past that hyperbole, that story, to help teach a concept. Right? You're saying, well, how could that get much worse? Well, she could have been cut up into little bits and fed to the dogs. Her child could have been stillborn. I mean, how far do you want to go? Just get the point of the story. So, Nichiren's going to use this story and say, look how you can apply this to your own life. Look at me, for instance, he says. He says, as I examined this passage, comparing it to a person who spreads the Lotus Sutra in the latter age of degeneration, you and I, and Nietzsche, quote, a poor person, this woman, refers to a man with little treasure of Buddhism, and a woman refers to a person with a little compassion. The in means this world of defilement, our samsaric world. A child refers to the conviction in the Lotus Sutra. It's bringing it back to the meaning, which is the seed of Buddhahood. This, again, Nietzsche is exploring how you must dedicate your sincerity in practice. Don't just play it. Don't just whip the recipe together, bake it, and forget it. Put a little love into it. Put a little dedication into it. An expectation of the result of Buddha-ness. Right? Being chased out of the inn, quote unquote, from the story, refers to the banishment of Nichiren, or any kind of social ostracizing, whether it happens at work. It doesn't have to happen because you're a Buddhist, but of course Nichiren is pointing out that this is all about our practice of the Lotus Sutra, so we'll stick with that. But it's an example you can use everywhere in your life if you are practicing Buddhism regularly, because your life becomes a mirror of your practice, yeah? And the, quote, infant born only a short while ago, end quote, stands for the short period of time since the person began spreading the Lotus Sutra. Beginner practicing, right? And that could be a month, a year, a decade. Depends on your karma, your particular attitude and intent, yeah? The bad storm, quote unquote, by which she was overtaken refers to the shogunal order of banishment. In other words, he lives in a time when the societal order, the policing of the people, is quite oppressive, yeah? While, quote, bees and horseflies, I forgot about that. She was attacked as she was going to the Ganges. Probably went in the Ganges to get away from all those bugs biting her. Means the three kinds of enemies, right? Shansoshima of the Lotus Sutra, who spoke ill of and abused Nichiren. He's equating as an example to his followers, look what's happening to me. It is actualizing this expedient means of teaching from the Nirvana Sutra, 3,000-year-old teaching. Well, look at my life. Here it is, happening. The drowning of a mother and her baby refers to Nichiren being almost beheaded at Tatsunokuchi for his unwavering resolve in the Lotus Sutra. Rebirth in the Brahma heaven means his attainment of Buddhahood. Yeah, that was her payoff in the story. That her next moment in life would be one of complete liberation from all of that suffering. I don't know what that would look like, but this is the story. Because we live moment to moment. As we break through karmic obstacles, the experience is not unlike, remember my cornfield analogy, where you're racing through the tall corn stalks with your whatever, your Jeep, your whatever, and it's just turmoil and a mess and life-threatening, and then suddenly, boom, you burst out the other side into a clear field. Right? That's moment to moment. You can have that incredible of a change of experience that fast. And you know you can. You've experienced this in your life. especially if you've ever experienced any kind of accident, whether it was running down your driveway and twisting your ankle, going from "this is wonderful with the breeze in my face, it's a beautiful day" to "oh crap, my ankle." Right? Instant change. Well, it's like that with enlightenment too. And this is the teaching also of the Lotus Sutra. This is what Shakyamuni was saying. You can immediately, in the next moment of life experience, change your entire experience, perspective, understanding of life itself. That's huge. The principle of karmic law, and that's what we're talking about, karma, momentum through time-space, yeah? The principle of karmic law, which decides our fate in the future, is the same from hell to the Buddha land. Through all of the 10 realms, the 10 within the 10 factors, the 3 realms, the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Here it is, hammering at that seed of Buddhahood, that depth of understanding from yet another position. Yeah. As for the retribution of hell, only those who have committed the 5 rebellious transgressions and slanderers of the true Dharma will fall into the hell of incessant suffering, which I've already discussed with you. The hell of incessant suffering is those people who choose to live life as a condemnation, just waiting to die so that they can get the hell out of here, missing the whole point that this life exists for you to celebrate, to live fully, because it's your only opportunity. Don't you get that? Waiting to die, how pathetic to live your life that way. There's nothing after you die. You're so willing to compromise life and throw it away that you invent some Shangri-La on the other side, like we're talking sides. Let's find that wall in the universe. Get you a good telescope and look around. Try to find that wall that you're going the other side of. Good luck. It's crazy. Those who commit other crimes, even a murderer of all the people in China and Japan, will not fall into the hell of incessant suffering. Instead, they would go to other hells and suffer many years there. Similarly, it would be impossible for us in the world of desire to be reborn in the world of no desire, even if we should uphold all the precepts and practice all the virtuous acts without tranquility of mind and meditation on the truth. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Basically, he's just saying everybody's got their own hells, because everything's relative to your karmic manifestations, yeah? To be reborn, the king of the Brahma heaven in the world of no desire, we have to accumulate the merit of compassion in addition to practicing the meditation for beginners. I mentioned this earlier. We have to see things from a compassionate place. It's a big switch, right? Like the person insulting you and trying to get you to react and hurt your feelings. And I said, laugh, but laugh and be conciliatory, because that person is in tremendous pain. They're enforcing every pain they can. They think they're being superior, but they're just expressing how completely overtaken they are by their desires. Poor thing. The rebirth of this poor woman in the Brahma heaven because of her compassion for her child does not follow ordinary karmic law. Now he's talking about our dedication to Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Our conviction, our love. for Buddha-ness. Chang'an has two interpretations on this, but after all, it is nothing but motherly compassion for a child that made the difference. Attitude, intent. It wasn't a chemical in the brain. It wasn't a particular way she dribbles a basketball. It wasn't some human act, some samsaric thing that she did. It was her expression of love and compassion for her child, for her Buddha-ness. Concentration of mind on a child looks like meditation because it transcends all of the attachments and desires. It's just pure involvement, depth, love. Thinking of a child from the bottom of one's heart looks like compassion. This is probably the reason why the mother was reborn in the Brahma heaven, although she had not accumulated any other favorable karma. It wasn't like she was practicing. It wasn't like she was a bodhisattva. She was just trying to survive. But still, in her lowly state, she was able to manifest love, compassion, dedication, resolve to save her child, even at the expense of her own life. Boy, doesn't this sound a lot like what we keep hearing when we discuss Namo Myoho Renge Kyo? With that kind of attitude, when you practice, you must experience results. You cannot avoid it. Also, many ways are claimed to lead to Buddhahood, such as the mind-only doctrine of the Kigan sect, the Sanran doctrine of the middle path of the Eightfold Negation, the consciousness-only doctrine of the Hoso sect, and the Shingon doctrine of the Five Wheels. But none of these seem to work in actuality because they're all ritualistic. They don't tap into that conviction. Right? Putting your hands in certain ways and blah, blah, blah. That's just an ego thing. We want to transcend that ego. We want to take that ego and bring it to attention. Namu. And bam, Myoho Renge Kyo. Buddhahood. Now. This moment. The only way, seemingly, that leads to Buddhahood is the 3,000 realms contained in one thought moment. That depth of understanding shakes loose all of those attachments. They're unreasonable when you really consider the breadth of the engine of life, the universe, how everything is an expression of potentials, including this apparatus. Wow. Profound detachment, yeah? The doctrine of Tendai. However, we in the latter age of degeneration do not possess the intelligence to understand it. I'm not sure about that translation. Seems odd that Nichiren would say something like this when he criticizes so many others for this kind of conclusion. Nevertheless, among all the sutras preached by Shakyamuni during his lifetime, only the Lotus Sutra embodies the gem of the 3,000 existences contained in one thought doctrine. Doctrines of other sutras may look like gems, but in actuality they're merely yellow rocks. Just as no matter how hard you squeeze the sand, you will not get oil. Or barren women will never have a child. Even wise men will not be able to attain Buddhahood by means of other sutras, because that's not what they're for. The other sutras aren't for the attainment of Buddhahood, therefore training the mind toward the attainment of Buddhahood. There's a big difference. The above citation from the Nirvana Sutra stating, quote, such people would be able to obtain Buddhahood without seeking it, must have meant this attainment of Buddhahood by means of the Lotus Sutra. It's a slippery translations there, but it's restating what I just did. That you can study all day long all of these stories to get meaning, insights in your mind. And that's all good. But at the end of the day, it's sitting in front of your mandala with the conviction that you've learned from these insights. Take that knowing, that conviction, and apply it to your daimoku, and you immediately attain perfect enlightenment as you're doing it. Not something you have to wait for next week, next month, after you die. Right now. Right now, be in the Pure Land, because all of this is the Pure Land. Were it not, you would not exist. So it's a perceptive shift. It's a big perceptive shift. It may sound trivial, but the more you understand about what's actually happening, the more you're amazed at the grandeur of the shift. And we can do it immediately. Why would you not? Not only I, Nichiren, he says, but also my disciples will reach the land of Buddha unfailingly so long as we hold to the unwavering conviction no matter what difficulty confronts us. Stay resolved. Whatever obstacles occur in your life, just double down. I have always told my disciples not to have a doubt from lack of heavenly protection and not to lament the lack of tranquility in the world. That wouldn't make sense, right? Because everything manifests. The entire range and scope of all things potential manifests. So if everything was perfect, it'd be highly suspect. Would it even manifest? Obviously, for water to be wet, something needs to be dry. The universe is a balance, yin-yang, if you will. The question is, how will you navigate it? On the border? In the muck? Or will you be like the lotus flower and rise from the muck to blossom and plant seeds in the same moment of future blossoms? How beautiful is the blossom when everything is a blossom? Its beauty is more radiant for the muck from which it removes itself, right? I'm afraid, however, that they might all have doubts about these and no longer listen to me. Because, they live in shogunate. They live in hard times. You could look at the world around us today and you could be very depressed. Because the media and everything is telling you how shitty everything is. But there are glorious moments out there. They're just not being shared. How lamentable, yeah? It seems only natural that ordinary people, in the face of reality, will forget their promises. Right? We first start practicing. We try and we try and we do real good and we get that new glow of, wow, this really works. This is amazing. Until that first really great obstacle occurs. And then we're filled with doubt. Well, maybe this doesn't work as well as I thought it did. Because you don't understand. It's natural. Having pity on their families, my lay followers must lament being separated from wives and children in this world. However, had they ever been truly separated from their beloved families through many lives in the past? Is this karma manifesting? Had they ever been separated for the sake of Buddhism? Have they been singled out and experiencing obstacles simply because they chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo? Had that ever happened before? Or in any form? Theirs must have been the same sad separation. I, Nichiren, should continue upholding the Lotus Sutra and go to the Pure Land of Mount Sacred Eagle so that I will be able to return to this world to guide its people. And this isn't about going to another planet. This is about attaining that realization of Buddhahood and bring that experience for others to share. That's a bodhisattva, ladies and gentlemen. That's the very definition of a bodhisattva. Staying in this earthly form, manifesting karma, with the complete embodiment of the Buddha mind, the unoffended mind, right? Assisting others in whatever their situation to come to this realization. That's a bodhisattva. Next chapter, Persuasive and Aggressive Means of Propagation. The title concerns me a little bit. But, I mean, we have to realize, again, this is shogunate Japan. And so what you have are intensely authoritarian followers, sheep, who don't want to challenge the status quo because they could die. I'm not making fun of it. It's a reality. So lots of courage required, yeah. Which means that in order to convince somebody in that state that they have much more available to them, that they can achieve much more without fear, that's going to take some doing. So we'll save that for the next video. I'm sure I'll have a lot to say about it. We'll probably be analyzing the difference between shoju and shakabuku. And the thing that I may not say enough as we get into this is realizing that Nichiren's going to talk about shakabuku, and this is something that's not talked about enough because practitioners of Nichiren's doctrine often get this wrong. Shakabuku is meant specifically for Buddhists of other sects. Christians, Muslims, Jews, pagan religions, Jainism, on and on and on. These religions, that's a different problem. Those people are choosing ignorance. And so we need to then go back to expedient means and take those people as they are and let them, show them, demonstrate to them by their own rules how distorted and unhealthy their views are. They need to come to the insights. And that's not an easy task, my friends. But that's shoju. Other Buddhists, however, are crapping all over the perfect teaching. They should know better. And so Shakabuku, breaking the bones of those people who would claim to be Buddhists should know better. And we can use, as Nichiren does, the words of Shakyamuni himself in the sutras to demonstrate to them their ignorance, their fallacies, their incorrect practice. That's Shakabuku. But it's specific to Buddhists. You see the difference? So if you have a Christian friend who's interested in Buddhism and he thinks that you're a vegetarian who floats on the ground or whatever, people have very odd ideas about what is Buddhism, specifically those who don't practice it or study it. It's a different kind of delusion than the Buddhist who practices wrongly, and as you hear over and over and over and over again, is disrespecting, working against, just defiling the true Dharma. That must be corrected. It's our responsibility to correct it. That's Shakabuku. Follow? All right. Enough on that. Thank you for being here. Again, take care of your health. Keep your practice strong. I'm intensely proud and so grateful for your practice. Stay strong. Email me if something is particularly bothering you that you need an answer to. We have we've got to be at 800 videos on this channel so far over the last few years. So at very least, I can point you to some videos where I go in depth on stuff. You can look for yourself. There's a search on the page, not the search at the top, that's YouTube. There's a search on this home page of this channel, right? Anyway, I want to help you. That's why I'm doing this. So let me know if you're struggling. I'll find a way to point to the moon. Okay? Thanks again. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.